Deanna here from Futures Past Boutique on Long Island in New York, and today I'm going to show you one of the finds of the century that I had not too long ago. So one night I was just browsing internet auctions for antiques as usual, and I came across this what appeared to be like 1930s, 1940s photograph, and it was like, I don't know, like listed for like under $10, and there was just something about this guy. Like, I'm not usually interested in photos from the 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond that. I like older photos, like Victorian era, mid 19th century to the late 19th century. But for some reason, this guy, he spoke to me, and I think I won the auction with shipping and everything for like, it was probably under $15. And so when I got this picture, it came, in this little what do you call it, frame, and it had a glass panel on the front, and I wanted to clean it. It was dusty and dirty. So on the back it had a piece that you slid out, and it had like a stand. So I slid the piece out, and with that, all this stuff was found behind this old photograph. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And I was like in shock. So it turns out this gentleman was named Charles Austin Moe, and it turned out that he ended up being a prisoner of war in a Japanese camp. And it turns out that he was on Wake Island in sometime in the 40s, and right around the time they were bombing Pearl Harbor. Wake Island was a bunch of military personnel and civilians, and the civilians were contracted from America because I guess they were like trying to put people to work because there was a lot of unemployment, and they sent a bunch of people from America, from like farm communities and so on, to try to give them jobs. And they were building a base over there on Wake Island, and it was in the Pacific. And what happened was, from what I read in the accounts and on the internet, was that the Japanese around the time of Pearl Harbor bombing. I think this was before the Pearl Harbor bombing. I'm unsure, but it was around that time. They actually started bombing that particular island, and the military and the contractors actually fought them and held them off for a very long time, until finally they ran out of ammunition and food, and they were taken as prisoners. And so this particular gentleman, it appears that, I don't know how these letters were sent home to his family, and they saved it in the back of this old picture frame with his photo as a memoriam. And so I found this old flower, and I found prisoner of war letters with his, with his story, basically. They were censoring things at the time, and they really couldn't say too much, but here's some of the letters that I had found. Dated May 17th, 1943. Dear folks, again I have a chance to drop a line, and so I take this means to do so. I am well and feeling fine. They were actually forced to tell their family that everything was, fine, by the Japanese. So it says, again I have a chance to drop a line, and I take this means to do so. I am well and feeling fine. I do so hope this card finds you well and happy. It has been nice here, but I do so hope that I will be back with you soon. I am working, but not too awfully hard. I guess it is beautiful there now, but it is quite nice here. I hope the family are well, and please, above all, do not worry about me, for I am okay. And he puts it in caps. And will be with you soon. I feel sure of that. It has begun to warm up here, but I enjoy it very much. Well, folks, I must close with all my love to you all, right often and soon. Your loving son. And again, his name was Charles Austin Moe. And I did research, and I found out not too long before we won the war, he ended up dying in a horrible, horrible prisoner of war camp. He was also sent to Shanghai in China as well, in those horrible camps. He died of pneumonia shortly before they were liberated. So I'll begin to show you. You could see the Japanese stamps, and this was his address. He came from Grants Pass, Oregon, USA, and it was censored. So as you can tell, he was pretty much under duress, having to explain that he was doing well when he really wasn't. He was under a lot of torturous, you know, circumstances. He was over here, at this time, he was in Shanghai War Prisoners Camp. And here's some more. I'm trying to be very careful because this is brittle. Let's see. It's hard to do this with one hand while I'm filming. Okay, so here's another. Shanghai War Prisoners Camp with the Japanese Imperial Seal. June 1st, 1942. And his parents were Mr. and Mrs. C.R. Moe, Grants Pass, Oregon. And I'm not going to read it. You could read it. You can hit the pause button. And this is heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. It says, we get 3 meals a day and cigarettes every 2 days. He's again stating that the barracks are nice. And he is hinting that it's cold and then it's hot. And so he was in barracks number 5, Shanghai War Prisoners Camp, Japanese, yeah, Central China at the time. And there's more, which again it absolutely breaks my heart. This poor guy, what he went through. I mean, tortures beyond, we can't even fathom how horrible his life was in these camps. These camps, I did research, were, the most horrific experience that any civilian or soldier could have went through at the time. So again, we have another Shanghai War Prisoners Camp letter. And again, I'll let you read this, and then you can hit pause. So I'll zoom in actually to the first part. So hit pause and read it. And then here's the rest of the letter. And then he hand signed it. Love. Oh, it breaks my heart. And then the strangest thing was I found photographs of him. It looks like photo booth photographs. He looks like he was a really nice guy. I guess that was his girlfriend at the time, or the love of his life. And these really piqued my interest. These photographs here. This was really, really riveting. I don't know if this was actually snuck and taken while he was in the camp. You can see he looks unshaven, and sort of, back then the men were pretty, fastidious with their facial hair, but here he looks haggard and gaunt and thin, and he looks like he's in tattered clothes. I wonder if somebody, maybe somebody somehow was able to sneak photographs and of him and got them back to his family. They have like old flowers that they put in memory. And I found this 1938 calendar. So basically this is heartbreaking.